said I gotta keep it kosher in a room full of vultures. Until them angels blow the shofars. I'm a LOZ soldier, LOZ soldier. I gotta keep it kosher. Israelite mentality. We ain't war with flesh and blood, we war with principalities. These pastors be manipulating scriptures, they some Pharisees. An infidel is worse than these crackers. If you ask me, gotta keep it kosher. Israelite mentality. We ain't war with flesh and blood, we war with principalities.
I get what you're trying to say as far as in, let's say I'm saying that I'm better than that, right? But there are sins that the penalty is murder, and there are sins that the penalty is just for payment.
Of course, penalty, but penalty doesn't mean the weight of the sin.
No, but you have to think about it. If I commit adultery, according to the law, I would be put to death. Wouldn't you say that weighs heavier than if I steal something, the only thing I have to do is repay you? In one, I lose my life, in the other, I just have to repay you. I would say that that sin is a heavier sin than this one.
Of course, it's subjectively, right?
No, not subject. I'm talking about as far as the penalty.
Of course,
I'm
penalty, yes. But we have to understand sin. The objective here is sin, right? So if we're talking about sin, it clearly states in Scripture, no sin is greater than any other sin. Oh, no, I do agree with you. Is the penalty a lot higher? The cost or the consequence, right? Because I won't take that away from you, my brother. Right. It's beautiful what you said. Consequence does play a big factor.
It does.
Because there's a cause and an effect.
Right.
And then that effect causes a consequence, right? So that consequence does not determine that the sin is higher. That's just the consequence. So just because someone were to steal, someone were to kill someone, right? It is a different charge, but at the end of the day, you broke the law.
Yeah, I agree, right?
That's all I'm saying.
But what I'm saying is that, let's say for instance, somebody, right, is living a homosexual lifestyle.
Okay.
And let's say for instance, I go and I'm eating shrimp, which is forbidden by the law. Now, that person might try to justify their lifestyle because of me eating shrimp. But what I'm trying to say is, when I look at the law and I see that homosexuality is a sin that warrants death, right? It's hard for that person to build a defense and say, well, me and you sin, I sin. Yeah, but the sin that you're committing is one worthy of death. I'm not trying to justify myself either, but you have to look at the severity of what it is that you're doing, right? That's like saying, you know what? I beat my children. Okay, that's not a sin. But if somebody is actually starving their children to death, lighting them on fire, shooting them, stabbing them, that's child abuse.
But like we said, we have to have intent, right?
But now this is the thing about the intent that I wanted to address. Read that.
The book of Leviticus chapter 5 verse 17.
Read.
And if a soul sin,
read,
and commit any of those things which are forbidden to be done by the commandments of the Most High,
right,
though he wish it not,
though he doesn't even realize that he sinned, read,
yet is he guilty.
Say it again.
Yet is he guilty.
Read.
And shall bear his iniquity.
So even if you do a sin that you had no intention of doing, you're still guilty and you still have to bear the iniquity of the sin. Now, I can understand what you mean by presumptuous sin, right? As in lying in wait, right? Waiting for somebody, trying to take their life, right? Coveting something, trying to steal it from them whenever they leave from it. I can understand what you're trying to say. But the reason why we have to be able to draw the line is because people will try to defend their actions with scriptures that they may not understand. So like the brother brought out, sin is transgression of the law. So as an Israelite from the tribe of Benjamin, as an Israelite from the tribe of Asher, it is your duty as the man, right? Because your household is now starting with this woman. Y'all have children?
No.
Not yet. But your house, what's your name, brother?
My name is Rob.
Rob. The house of Rob is starting with this woman. This woman is now under you, right? You now have a position to play and she has a position to play. The Most High puts you in the headship position, which then she has to submit to. But then who do you submit to? You submit to Christ, right? So in order to truly submit to Christ, you have to be familiar with what he's saying, how he rolled, what he was about. Because if you don't know that, then it's going to be hard to lead her, right? So I'll just give you a scenario. Did y'all eat out since y'all been? Are y'all from here?
Oh yeah, of course we live here. I don't live here. I live in Homestead, but I come here often just to look at the views and enjoy it.
Okay, cool. Did y'all go out for dinner tonight?
No. We not dinner. We stopped and got a little milkshake.
Little milkshake. All right. So I would say in the past month, whenever y'all have eaten out, made dinner, whatever,
Yes.
has anything been containing pork, shrimp, crab, lobster?
I won't even sit here and lie to you, brother. I eat that.
You eat that?
I'm gonna be trying. At the end of the day, like God said, you must be a baby with me. You must admit it.
Right. Now, this is where I'm talking about the leadership part. Now I gotta ask you a question.
Yeah.
Are you a man who is courageous enough to be the best version of himself? No matter what? Especially if it's according to the scriptures. And the reason why I ask that question is it takes a lot of resolve to be able to become the man that the Most High wants you to be. Because there's gonna be a lot of opposition, right? Your mother, your father, your friends, your job, anything can oppose you, right? But you have to have the resolve to lead your household just like Abraham led his household and charge his people of his household in the ways of the Lord. So let me tell you what I'm getting at. Give me Leviticus chapter 11 and verse 7.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 11 and verse 7.
Read.
And the swine.
And the what?
And the swine.
The swine is the pig, right? Now, in Jamaican culture, we got the jerk pork. In Nicaraguan culture, what's your most famous pork dish? What is it called?
I know it's a pork one. They have one, but I don't think it's a famous one. Pork's not that famous in Nicaragua.
Oh, okay.
Puerto Rico though, and Cuba. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I could agree. Read.
100%.
Come on. Though he divide the hoof and be cloven footed,
Right.
yet he cheweth not the cud.
He cheweth what?
Not the cud.
Read.
He is unclean to you.
He is what?
He is unclean to you.
Read.
Of their flesh shall ye not eat.
So in the law of the scriptures that pertains unto the Israelites, as an Israelite from the tribe of Benjamin, it is a sin for you to eat pork. Right? Now, keep reading.
And their carcass shall ye not touch.
Now read verse 9.
Verse 9.
Read.
These shall ye eat of all that are in the water.
Read.
Whatsoever have fins and scales. And the waters and the seas
Right.
and in the rivers, them shall ye eat.
So shrimp, crab, lobsters, oysters, clams, they don't have fins and scales. Right? Sharks, dolphins, they have fins, but they don't have scales. Right? So the Most High is letting us know, as Israelites, there are things that we can eat and there's things that we should eat. Now, you ordering your household, right? Let's say if your wife does the shopping, you have to, there's no pork, shrimp, crab, lobster, none of that comes in this house. Because this is the house of Rob, and the house of Rob is governed by
By the word.
That's what the house of Rob is governed by, right? But you have to be able to arm yourself with this knowledge in order for you to order your house aright. Because if Rob states that he's an Israelite from the tribe of Benjamin, and I'm coming over Rob's house, right, and I see a whole pig being roasted, I'm not gonna, what's your name, sister? I'm Kathy? Catherine. I'm not gonna go to Catherine and say, what's going on? I'm gonna move past Catherine, go straight to Rob and say, Rob, why is there a whole roasted pig in your kitchen? Right? We're Israelites, we don't eat that type of stuff. So, this woman being under you, you are responsible for teaching her the ways of the Lord. You have to be that example, right? So, because, give me Colossians chapter 3, verse 18. God created marriage, correct?
100%.
So he would know how it works. He would know what destroys it. He would know how to fix it. He would know how to advise you on it, right? So now, there's no such thing as boyfriend and girlfriend in the scriptures. So that would mean that this woman grabbing you on your arm, Catherine, is not your girlfriend. Catherine is your wife according to the scriptures. And this is your husband according to the scriptures, right? What happens in our communities is we think that we can be boyfriend and girlfriend, fool around, have a baby, and then split up. That's not how that works. You saw this woman, you liked this woman, you started talking to her, y'all did whatever y'all did. Now y'all have consummated a marriage. To see him as your husband and to see her as your wife is what God intended. Read.
The book of Colossians, chapter 3 and verse 18.
Read.
Wives,
Submit
yourselves unto your own husbands.
Because if Rob and Catherine was having problems, but they were just boyfriend and girlfriend, the scriptures can offer you no help. Because it doesn't talk about boyfriend and girlfriend. It only talks about husband and wife. But now if you say that that's your wife and you said that that's your husband, all right, y'all having issues, marriage not going well, well, let's see if this format is being followed. Read.
As it is fit in the Lord.
So wives have to submit to their husband as it is fit to the Lord, right? But Rob is the head of his household. Rob tells his wife, Catherine, we're going to have some pork tonight. Catherine, what do? This is your head. You're supposed to submit to him. and he just told you we eating pork tonight, what do you do? Huh? No, because guess what? His head is Christ, and Christ doesn't sin. He just told his wife to commit a sin. You have to respectfully decline.
Right.
Because ultimately, the Most High God is the one that you serve. Your husband has chosen to be wicked this day. You don't have to cuss him out, right? You don't have to go all crazy, but you have to remind him as to who his head is. Because the only way that he could try to force you to do what he says is be like, I'm your head, I said we eating pork, you better do it. And then you kindly remind him, but Christ is your head, and what you're doing is committing a sin. So no, I'm not going to be cooking pork tonight. Right? Right?
I'm sorry, bro.
Family affair. Read.
Husbands, love your wives.
Husbands, love your wives. Read.
And be not bitter against them.
Be not bitter against them. When you go into the Hebrew, or when you go into the Greek word and see what that word bitter is, it means like, don't just have an attitude towards them for no reason. Because some men, they get like that. They just irritable about their wife. But you the one who married her, right? You the one who's dealing with her. But some of them just have that aura towards them. And the scriptures is saying, don't be like that. Read.
Children, obey your parents in all things,
right?
For this is well pleasing unto the Lord.
So the Most High wants to see a marriage. He wants to see a submissive wife. He wants to see a man who's loving his wife and ordering his house in the ways of the Lord. And the children are supposed to see that also, right? So what I'm trying to get at is that now today with this information, right? I always ask people, now that you know you're an Israelite, what feels different? If you say nothing, then it's because the understanding of why it has to be told that you're an Israelite probably didn't sink in yet, right? But the reason for that is that you now understand that your obligation in your life is to follow the law, statutes, and commandments of God. Because it is your requirement. It isn't a suggestion, right? If you don't do it, there are things in your life that is going to happen that's going to have a negative consequence. Because that's the way the Most High God set it up.
All right? Beautiful scenario, right? This is why I say we can't compare this scenario to something in the sense of weed, right? Because I did agree with you guys. The first thing I said was, when it comes to weed, the reason it is bad is because people put it before God. They idolize it in the morning when they eat, before they eat, when they go to sleep, right? But in a sense of, because he did read a great scripture, which I love, right? And I gave, I guess you could say I gave relevancy to it by stating you don't worship anything before God. And that's why I stopped smoking. And I don't really smoke no more at all. You know, all jokes aside, I've been here with me and Herman on this. We're like, nah, you know what? I'm done with that. I have to understand that I can't put anything before God, right? And the reason I say, I get where you're coming from, where in Hinduism, right? They do that thing that you guys stated, that supposedly they spend a day where they put a statue in front of them and smoke, right? But this is my thing, right? Intent plays a big factor in that, because the reason they are smoking that weed is to their God. Right. The reason I would do something in a sense of doing something like that wouldn't be to worship a God or anything of that sense, right? Let's say I'm just, like I gave an example. I seen a friend I haven't seen in a while, right? And I know I don't smoke anymore, and that's not something I put first in life. And I decide, even if, right, I decide to take one. In the Bible, it nowhere does it state. It clearly states there that you shouldn't eat shellfish, that you shouldn't eat pork, you shouldn't eat things of fins, anything that doesn't have fins or scales, right? And this is why I say it doesn't clearly, word for word, verbatim state that the herb marijuana should not be at any point touched or used, right? Because you have to understand, at some point, there are sicknesses out there. Now, I do agree with you. I don't have a sickness or anything like that. Sometimes my muscles do ache. Sometimes I work out. I play basketball. My knee, I tore my meniscus. I get soreness. Right. It does help me in a sense sometimes, but I do agree with you, brother, 100%. I shall not put anything before God. I appreciate you. You guys are very well.
No problem, man. We appreciate you. We appreciate your time.
I love this conversation, my brother. I love. Hey, thank you, brother. Thank you, brother.
Standing in all black with them shields on post, watching. They all my brothers. Gold is precious, but loyalty is priceless. I want a man, might leave you like.